I'm Roger Wood. I'm speaking with Rob Russell, an expert on drones. He is the owner of 2A Tactical LLC and 2A Tac Air Ops Drone Services based in Barrington. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, thanks, Roger. Thanks for having me.
You're a drone expert. I regard you as a drone expert because you use drones professionally, and they're not your toy drones. What I think I need first is that kind of description as a toy drone as opposed to what you use and maybe even more sophisticated.
All right. I definitely know a lot about drones. Sometimes I'm careful calling myself an expert, but I appreciate the compliment. I do work in the drone industry full time. Um, there are toy drones that you can buy at Walmart and fly around, and you do not need a FAA license, a pilot's license like I have. There is a certificate you have to get, which is basically you can't fail it. It's just a little quick thing you do.
Hmm.
Whereas what I have is an actual you have to study. It's a difficult test. It's an in-person test. It's actually proctored, so you have to go. I took mine at Manchester Airport, and it's called a Part 107 FAA Commercial Drone Pilot's License. And the drones I fly are typically 15, $20,000 or more, so they're expensive.
And sophisticated. I know we spoke before about
Yes.
what yours do. Thermal imaging, right? And of course cameras.
Right. So the drones I use are in the space that would be considered industrial. So I do use drones that are geared more toward search and rescue, but the same drones I use are also used in industry for inspecting power lines and solar panels and inspecting roofs of buildings, anything up high, but also using the thermal camera to detect, energy and heat loss. It also just happens to be it can find, missing people and pets in the woods and other places.
Sure, you're doing that shortly. What's up there now that people are looking at? Nobody seems to know.
So I've been following this obviously,
Obviously.
and I'm in a bunch of private forums and chat groups with other people that do what I do. So I'm talking to other people who are also professionals. And since this whole thing started off in New Jersey, and I know you know this, but I have a military background as well, in law enforcement. So when I started seeing the congressman get up there and say, more or less he was certain that it was, Iranian spy drones and there was a mothership off the shore of New Jersey, I'm going, oh gosh. I mean, what a great way to just whip up paranoia. It's like we're back to the World War of the Worlds
Mm.
tape, and obviously I wasn't around for that, but I know the story. So it certainly is not Iranian spy drones because they wouldn't be. So when you fly at night, you have to have what are called 3 nautical mile anti-collision lights on. And all these drones that we're seeing all are lit up like Christmas trees.
Mm.
So if if I was flying a spy drone, I would have it completely blacked out. And then to even suggest that there is a naval warship that serves as a mothership for these drones just sitting in the New Jersey harbor, it's just absolute ridiculousness. I don't care what party that congressman is. Someone needs to sit him down and explain to him that what he's saying is preposterous and it's causing people to panic. It's not true.
I guess there's an information vacuum. There's no question about that, Rob. But I've heard people say there are some as big as cars, SUVs. How can that possibly be?
So in talking to other people and my own opinion on this, so in New Jersey, in that area, you have a lot of defense contractors, manufacturers who build drones. I mean, there physically are several right in that area. And They have licenses from the FAA to test out their aircraft. And these are large aircraft. These are potentially the size of a car, much bigger than what I use. I mean, the drone I use is considered quite large, but it's still only maybe, 2 feet, square. Uh, so these are large drones designed to be used by the Department of Defense that, potentially are to deliver ordnance. So they would be big and they would be able to fly for hours and hours. The drone I use, best case scenario, I might get 40 minutes, maybe 35. Uh, and because these drones are new and they're somewhat secretive, they're going to fly them at night because they don't want people to take photos of them. Okay. But they still have to obey all the FAA rules because you imagine you're a business, okay? You have shareholders or whatever, and you're flying this thing blacked out and you hit a helicopter and you kill a bunch of people. I mean, obviously someone might go to jail. You're going to get sued for massive amounts of money. Aside from the fact you just killed people, I mean, the point is you need to be able to test this platform, but there's rules. So you have to run these lights and you have to fly in certain conditions. So I think the general consensus is when the people from the Pentagon come out and they say, well, there's no foreign threat nexus. They know exactly what it is. It's defense contractors who are developing programs that are probably already paid for by the government, or it's current programs that maybe they're improving and modifying. They're just testing these things. There's one other issue that I think is compounding this, and this I would never do this myself. I think you have a lot of recreational drone pilots. I hate to use the word trolling, but kind of like going, I'm going to throw my drone up tonight and have some fun. And it becomes,
Shadowing sort of.
yeah, but I mean, it's like the self-fulfilling prophecy. So now you've got regular drones up, potentially these Department of Defense drones, and everybody's just getting whipped into a frenzy. I mean, Chuck Schumer in New York is talking about requesting technology to shoot the things out of the sky and a radar. I mean, come on, folks. This is it's getting a little bit out of hand. It's not good for my industry.
Well, the governor of New York has called for help from the feds, and supposedly they've got a drone detector. I don't even know what that would be. The feds sent to them. I don't even know what a drone detector is or does.
So all drones that are made or not made, all drones that are currently airborne have to have what's called remote ID. So every single drone, even the drone that was made before March of this year, if it did come with it, you would have to attach a little box to it. So just like big aircraft, your drone is chirping out a little electronic signature. So there are, in fact, I think there's apps for phones where you can, if you're near enough to a drone, you can get that number and then you
Hmm.
just search under it. And if it was my drone, you would see my company name. So when they say a drone detector, I mean, that technology already exists. I don't know. I'm not really sure again what I think they may just be trying to appease their constituents, but who knows?
Well, there is, Rob, a real vacuum, an information vacuum. We can't deny that, because you may have nailed it. And I'm sure you think you have, and you probably have, but that hasn't come out.
So
Your theory, or your, you know,
yeah, it's a theory, and there's a number of people share it. I'm not the only one. Um, I like I said, I think there's other call them pranksters who are now taking it's like an opportunist. So, okay, I live in Barrington, and I swear I'm not going to do this, but if tonight I took my large drone and just flew it about around my neighborhood with all the lights on, I almost guarantee you tomorrow on my town's Facebook page with all the paranoia, somebody would have a post. Oh my gosh, they're in Barrington. Well, there are people that would find that amusing. It's I don't know. It tickles their fancy to. It's almost like you're making your own little news story. So there's I think some legitimate things in the defense industry sort of started this. And now you've got these people kind of jumping on this bandwagon. And like I said, I just want this to go away. Just want it
Well,
to go away. There's professionals out there doing actual work, and we've got this great, such a distraction.
what is it that will make this, I don't know, sort of hysteria go away? Information, right?
So I'll give you an example. When I go out to do a dog search or an animal search, it doesn't matter where, and I may have said this on your program when you previously interviewed me, but one of the first things I do before usually while I'm driving there, I pick up the phone and I call whatever police dispatch covers that area. And I just very politely, I say, hey, listen, my name is Rob. I own 2A drone services. I'm going to be flying in your town. I'm going to be launching from this neighborhood. I've got a large drone. I'm licensed. In case you get any calls, you can let them know that I'm looking for a dog. I've been doing that since I started. I've never had a negative reaction. In fact, I used to be a dispatcher myself before I was a police officer. The dispatchers love it because if they get somebody that calls them and they think that, aliens are landing or some crazy thing, they can just say, hey, listen, there's a guy out there trying to help somebody find their missing dog. And almost certainly that person is going to go, oh, okay. And it also alleviates them needing to send like a police officer out or something. So I try to nip it in the bud when I go. The problem is with this paranoia. I again, like all things, it will eventually die out. But we, meaning people like myself who are professionals, we're trying to make this career more professional. This is not helping. But that's something that I do. And a lot of people in
Mm.
my space do that. They'll call the dispatch. They'll even, I'm not a big fan of a lot of social media, but we'll use social media to throw a thing out. Hey, I'll be flying this area. So it's another way to put out in the public that, hey, I'm doing this in this area and people understand it's legal what I'm doing and this is what I'm doing it. So, and at least for what I do, people are usually very supportive because they love animals and they understand why I'm
Sure,
doing it.
sure.
But as far as these other jokers, I don't know because
Mm.
it's not illegal to fly a drone at night as long as you have either the certificate if you're recreational or if you're commercial, you have to have the license. And the only rule is you have to have anti-collision lights that are good, that can be seen by 3 nautical miles. Yes, there's a bunch of other rules. I'm not going to explain all the rules, but as long as you're abiding by the rules, you can fly your drone at night. There's other restrictions like being too close to an airport. I saw that 2 guys just got arrested for flying at Logan. I
Right.
mean, yes, when you get near an airport, there's very specific restrictions. I actually have to put in for flight clearances when I'm close to Pease. I still call it Air Force Base, but you know what I mean, the Pease
Right.
Trade so yeah, you can get into big trouble for that and not doing that correctly. But for the most part, you can fly your drone at night, all the lights on, and there's nothing illegal about it. It's U.S. airspace.
So with the public has been advised that there is no danger, no threat, but they don't still tell us what it is exactly, what you're saying it is, or what may
I
be
wish they
close to what you're
would.
saying.
I wish they would. I mean, again, just for the sake of this conversation, if it was what I'm presuming it is, I wish they would come out and say it's defense contractors because the longer they leave it up to people's imagination, it just gets wilder and wilder. And like I was telling you, I try to educate people. So I want them to look up and see that drone and know why it's in the neighborhood. That's me. It's not, we're not obligated to do that, but I choose to do that because
Mm.
I don't want to, I take personal privacy very seriously. So I want people to know the reason it might traverse their backyard. Now it's going to be at 300 or 400 feet. It's not going to be like right over their backyard, but I want people to understand.
Sure. I just watched a clip of President-elect and President Trump saying that he was briefed, but he can't say anything about it because he was briefed. Not, I guess, not to say anything about it right now.
The only reason I could see, I had a security clearance when I was in the Army. Nothing high, a very low clearance. But I mean, the only reason maybe they're not allowed to say is because these could be classified programs. I don't know. That might be the only reason.
Hmm.
And to simply acknowledge a classified program in and of itself could be a breach of the classification. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
In the national
Um,
security, in other words, an issue.
Right. In other words, if the actual drone itself is classified as a secret or top secret, simply saying, yeah, they're flying a classified aircraft, maybe they're not allowed to do that. I don't know. Just like the people that live out in Nevada by all the testing facilities, like infamous Area 51, for years and still to this day, they see these mysterious aircraft, and then years later they figure out it's the whatever the new stealth aircraft is. It just happens to be these are flying over New Jersey in a highly populated area, so it's a little different. So you got a lot more people on the ground with cameras.
Well, I don't know how to wrap this up except to say that we'll find out soon, right? You'll find out before you probably already have.
Now, I don't have any inside info. Like I said, it's more of a gut instinct. I just, as a professional, I'm a little bit amused briefly. I mean, I liked, but then I'm just like, just please, can we just get over this and move on? Can all the jokers who are adding to the paranoia, just guys, just take a week off, and people will forget. Something else will come into the news, and then the drone thing, because what I don't want to see is drones somewhat already have a negative perspective by some people. I don't want to see it get worse, and I also don't want to see we those of us professionals have been fighting for more lenient and additional allowances in the rules. We don't want to see that pulled back, so I don't want to see a knee-jerk reaction. So yeah, so those of you out there who are flying around just for funsies right now, take a couple weeks off, please. Everybody else would appreciate it. That's
Good
my
advice, and
advice.
we'll keep track of it. And I sure appreciate your knowledge
But
and
I don't think
friendship.
it's alien. I don't think it's aliens. I don't think it's the Canadians about to invade us. Someone told me that. I think I I think we're going to be safe. There's much more worse things to worry about. So anyway, thank you, Roger.
Rob Russell of Barrington, an FAA licensed drone pilot.